What is something you should have been taught but had to figure out on your own? That you don't treat people you love like shit. Seems simple enough. But having grown up in a home that was essentially toxic in many regards, it took me years to figure out that being positive and supportive in a relationship is very important. And how it's supposed to be. Also, that the heavy use of denial is actually not a healthy life coping skill. Like, absolutely everything about relationships. My parents, mainly my dad, were the no dating until you're 30 type. The few times in high school that any boys showed interest in me, I pushed them away because all I could think was my parents would freak out if I had a boyfriend. And quat, I ended up marrying my first boyfriend. And it worked out extremely well. And he's amazing and not like my dad at all. But my life could have sucked so bad. Cooking. Neither of my parents have any skill or interest in cooking. My father eats delivery or fast food for literally every meal. And my mother could happily live off Cheerios alone. Neither of them know anything about nutrition. They both prefer a bland diet of familiar foods. And they both hate doing anything that could cause a mess in the kitchen. That it's okay for me to say no. That I can have boundaries as well and should expect them to be respected. That my emotions, feelings and opinions matter just as much. That it's okay to experiment and try things. It's okay that it's not perfect in the first try. As long as I had some fun, it's great. How to value and love myself and not measure my value and love by how others respond/exploit me. And so much more. 4 years of therapy and still have quite a road ahead. What's the best thing a date or partner has ever cooked/baked for you? My partner makes this version of a lemony pad thai that I absolutely love, and despite me being a better cook, I can never get this one recipe perfect like he does. He also cooks for me every Friday night. We do most cooking together, and tonight we're doing homemade fajitas and corn tortillas. Pretty pumped. My husband doesn't cook. He doesn't even warm up leftovers for himself. He eats them cold. Like a monster. But, he's the grocery order, idea and snack guy. Midnight munchies? I got him a special little tray for gathering snacks. Stuck on the couch with a sleeping baby? Automatically brings me the perfect snack. Road trip? He's got the goods. I'm such a jerk. He just got a smoker a few weeks ago. He's made wings and ribs and they've been amazing. I had an ex who I was newly dating go all out with a seafood pasta. Bread with dipping oils. And wine. He cooked it once I got over to his house. Kitchen was clean and he had the hand towel slung over his shoulder. Parked me in a chair in the kitchen and told me the only thing I needed to help with was keeping our wine glasses full. I went on to be his for the next 12 years. Cooked was probably his starter for our attempt to recreate fine dining at home. He made mini loaves of stout bread and cheese brioches with homemade soured butter. Then served a plate with a ham and pistachio terrine. Pork bonbon. Apple gel. Honey girolles and endive. All served with a black tea muscat cocktail. So delicious and fancy. For baking. It's hard to pick because he bakes a couple of loaves of sourdough bread every week. But I'd go for his sourdough crumpets, which are divine and better than any crumpet I've ever bought by miles. Why do some people, young people, foreigners, etc., think that you can just end American tipping culture by choosing to not tip the workers? That's exactly what everyone would have to do to stop it though. Simple. It would force employers to be responsible for paying their employees just like other employers in America and other restaurants around the world. In Sweden, the head of the Hotel and Restaurant Union made a clear statement. Stop tipping ! And quote. As long as we tip, far less than the US, the restaurants will not increase the salaries to a reasonable level. If everyone started doing X action would become the norm. It would work if everyone stopped doing it. Because you can. Why is this constantly talked about? People aren't going to tip. Edit, everybody is not going to tip. Well, in reality it has gotten out of hand. I should be the one to decide based on service if I want to tip or if I don't. I should not be charged 3% add-on charge so that an employer will offer health insurance to those they employ. I will not be pushed into leaving a tip for pickup. I have paid for my food. Tipping is all about service and not about letting a restaurant make a bigger profit. Because they aren't trying to, they just don't want to tip. They don't say it should be the job's responsibility to pay them better because they actually give a shit about the worker. They just don't care. You use the word culture. And that's what it is. Your upbringing and life experience. I'm from the UK and went to Seattle in November. And although I did tip, 20% give or take, it's just not expected of us at home. It's just if you did a good job. Here's a bit extra kind of deal. We're not used to it basically counting as part of a worker's wages. What's your opinion on the man taking the woman's last name after marriage? Didn't take my husband's. I have a very common nickname for a very common name, graduated with 8 people with the same first and middle names, so I've always been my name and my list initial. My son has my husband's name. It won't die out. I am my dad's only child, and the last one from our direct branch of the family tree with our name. Nothing to do with being progressive and everything to do with not giving a shit. I have a half-brother and my mom has been married 3x during my life. She's changed her name each time, so I come from a household where no one had the same name and we aren't any less family. Well, except for all of the fucking ex-husbands. I really don't care what other people do. But in my own life, my feelings are this: I like tradition. So I'd prefer she takes my name. However, I'd rather take her name than each of us keeping our own name. I like the sense of family by having the same last name, kind of becoming one entity as a marriage. Like I said, I'd prefer she takes my name. But I'd rather I take her name or we make one up to share rather than having different last names. As far as other people, though, I really don't care. For context, I'm not a guy, but here's my thoughts on this. I have tried my entire life to not let the last name of a man define me. I had the last name of an abusive deadbeat father who was only in my life for 5 years for 18 years, and I'm finally getting it changed in a few months to a name of my choosing. Not my father's. Not my mother's. Mine. And mine alone. I would never take a man's last name. If I do get married to a woman though, I may hyphenate.